So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining me from. Hi, my name's Jo Rawbone, and I'm here to share with you some lessons recently it still is called Lessons from a Lurker turned Liberator, but I really haven't had much time and space to lurk recently. So I thought I'd drop in and tell you a few reasons why. So this is my first Tuesday Lessons from a Lurker since my TV show launched last Thursday evening. And I've got to tell you, I was pretty nervous. And I know, I teach presentation skills. I know a lot of the techniques for reducing nerves, but a bit like my TEDx talk, this really mattered to me because I was sharing myself on a much wider stage, a much bigger platform. So of course it was quite challenging for me. And even though I was nervous and the whole thing was quite nerve-wracking for me, I am so committed to shifting the extroversion bias so that introverts like you and me can flourish authentically, that I'm prepared to do those nerve-wracking things. So if you've joined live, then say hi, drop in, and it's always good to have you here. And if you end up watching on replay, #replay, let me know your thoughts and feelings. So what I thought I'd talk about today is how we can often talk ourselves out of things. And it's so easy to do when it's something that we consider in some way a little bit scary, right? So if something, and regardless of whether I'm looking forward to it or not, because I was massively looking forward to the Flourishing Introverts show, so I was really looking forward to it. But regardless of whether I'm looking forward to it or not, as the time frame creeps closer, as the enormity of what I've let myself in for creeps closer, I start to have those little moments of doubt, those little wobbles. And I don't know if any of you have ever experienced those little wobbles in the past, but if you have, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The little gremlins, and it might be the inner critic, and you know my inner critic. You've heard me talk about her quite a lot, my inner critic Gladys. You'll have heard me talk about her, and you'll know that she can be quite vociferous from time to time. And there are a few things that I noticed happen to me, and I wonder if they happen for you too. So the first thing is, as we get closer to something that we've previously committed to with full intention of showing up, we start to have those little moments of self-doubt. And in those moments of self-doubt, we can let our inner critic get a little bit too vocal. The inner critic, remember, the purpose, the job of an inner critic is to keep us safe. So the inner critic will often be sending you a little message that says, don't put yourself out there. Don't be vulnerable in front of all those people. Don't be rubbish in front of all those people, because what will they think of you? And because our subconscious mind, of course, doesn't understand the instruction, don't, I was a little bit rubbish to begin with. I was a little bit nervous, but I settled into it. And I felt the best thing to do was to actually acknowledge that partway through. When I was talking about one of the myths of introversion is that we don't have confidence, I talked about the fact that, yeah, I was nervous to start with, but I've kind of settled in and found my rhythm now, found my groove now. And that felt really important to do. So I just want you to spend a little while thinking about, what are those situations where you talk yourself out of a commitment that you've made previously, that you had full intention, good morning, Jenny, that you had full intention of showing up to. And to demonstrate this, I'm going to share with you quite a positive post from one of the introvert groups that I'm part of. And it's unusual that it's a positive post, because more often than not, it's oh no, we can't do that. That's rubbish. You know, we're introverts. We can't do things, which, you know, I don't believe anyway. So there was this lovely post from somebody who was having to travel with somebody, and they were okay about it, but as the time got closer, they weren't looking forward to it. Ring bells? Yeah, it's kind of what I've just been talking about. Good morning, Carrie. 51 degrees. Okay, it's warming up a bit then, Carrie. Oh, 51 degrees. So he reported back, I think it was a he anyway, he reported back in the Facebook group to say, thank you for all those who offered some support and useful comments, advice. Just wanted to give you an update about how my journey went. So the person I was traveling with was a full-on extrovert, and I thought, oh, here we go. Here comes the bad news. And he said, but we had so much in common that the conversation flowed so easily. And it meant that what we could do was we talked all the way on the journey, and it felt really natural, and I wasn't stressed at all. And I wanted to kind of physically really cheer out loud, because that's exactly how I think introverts can be when we choose to operate at the outer edge of our comfort zone rather than talk ourselves out of things. Because when we start to get a bit nervous about a situation approaching that we've already made a commitment to, the overthinkers amongst us can get into catastrophizing and telling ourselves how terrible it's going to be. And of course, our thoughts and our conversation with ourselves can be very persuasive to our subconscious mind. So it's really important, rather than thinking about how terrible it's going to be, if we've got one of those situations coming up, and of course, I've got my show again this Thursday. It's every week from now on. There's no bailing out on it now. I need to remind myself why I'm doing this, and that showing up as an introvert, nerves and all, is an okay thing to do, because I will appear even more human to the people who are watching. They're not watching some polished TV presenter. They're watching little old me talking about what matters to me, talking about a subject that's dear to my heart, talking about a purpose that I am fully committed to, and therefore I will show up authentically. And that's what I was reminded to do, is that rather than catastrophizing, rather than talking myself out, rather than showing up half-heartedly, is to show up in full glory, in full color, even though I'm nervous. So Jen is saying, for me, it's usually physical anxiety that will take you out. I'm just going to share that. And that was a little bit for me, Jenny, in that I heard the wobble in my voice. And initially, and it took me off my stride, because initially I was disappointed that I heard that wobble in my voice. But then afterwards, I thought, well, a lot of introverts would have had a little wobble in their voice. That's absolutely fine. And if I acknowledge it, rather than pretend it's not happening, acknowledge it, then I know it'll be a better thing for it. So as I'm prepping for this next show, I'm going to remind myself that what I'm doing is absolutely on purpose. It's coming from my heart. And if I'm not word perfect, if there's a little wobble or a shake in my voice, so be it. Yeah, some great comments coming in from Carrie and Jenny. Look, connecting to our authenticity is truly a win. Every day of our lives. Completely agree. And Jenny's saying, I just laugh and say to the as I say it to the audience, and they'll laugh with me. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely right. So that was what I wanted to pop in and talk about today, is that if you've committed to something and you are getting doubts, getting cold feet closer to the time, to remember to honor that commitment and show up as fully as you can, because we owe that to ourselves and we owe it to the people that we've made the commitment to. So that was all I wanted to pop in and say today. Thank you for joining me. And thank you for commenting, those that joined me live. And of course, if you're watching this on replay, #replay, let me know the type of situations where maybe you talk yourself out or where your inner critic can get a little bit too vocal. And I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday or this Thursday evening if you're joining me on the Win Win Women platform. And of course, on Thursday, I will put a link into the Introverts Corner group so you can find it. And I may even send an email. So look out and do join me if you can, because it's always lovely to have people along. Take care now.